areas where there's more sunlight getting through the canopy, where there's going to be more sub-canopy habitat and vegetation, and those are going to create your habitat edges. Mountain laurel, I know where he's up at, there's tons of mountain laurel. Mountain laurel in those thick drainages and on the sides of ridges is a habitat edge. A lot of that stuff, though, you can't see until you get boots on the ground, but that's why I focus on the terrain features first, and features that you really kind of get your attention, that looks for, that set up for two things, like long-range travel for deer during the rut, specifically bucks, and then also areas that they can escape if there's hunting pressure. So you have different elevation changes, you have different draws, different spots that they can navigate outside of walking the top of a ridge to be able to navigate through a property. And then once you get boots on the ground, you're going to find the habitat edges, under the canopy. And then once you find that, follow some of those. Like walk them, see where you're seeing the tracks, where you're seeing the trails, you're seeing any old buck sign, and so on.
What's up, everybody? Doing another Thursday Q&A today. We got some video submissions that we're going to be going through. Jacob, what's up?
Oh, dude, I'm excited. We're about to go on a big road trip. I'm super excited. About to be interviewing some absolute bangers. I don't want to foreshadow too much. Just y'all will enjoy the episodes that are coming out this fall. And actually some very soon. Very, very soon.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm beyond excited. Plus, we just got back from the GON Expo. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And we get the Mobile Hunters Expo coming up. So, just a lot's going on. Very excited about Andrew. What about you?
Oh, dude, doing good. Got some new bucks that just showed up. So we're going to talk about it here in a second. But first, we're going to do our Q&As. This one is from Alex Williams from the great state of Tennessee.
So it's second to last week of July in a swamp, forested area. Got water on both sides of me. And right where I found a scrape line last year. So doing some summer scouting, and almost stepped on a big cottonmouth. So my question is, when it's hot, snakes are crawling, horse flies everywhere, what do most guys do to scout these swamps and avoid the snakes and that sort of thing? Are you waiting until the first frost of the year and then doing your early season scouting? Like, at what point do you have less encounters with cottonmouths? By the way, I did jump 2 deer on the way in, so found some scrapes from last year, a couple of bedding sites, but a lot more mosquitoes, horseflies, and cottonmouths. Thanks, guys.
All right, little snake avoidance with Alex.
You know the best snake avoidance?
What?
Not being out there. Okay? I mean,
how did I know you were going to say
they ain't
that?
biting you at the house, bro. Just telling you right now. First off, is Alex, right? Mm-hmm. Dude, Alex, if I got to go scout with a mosquito net on, so I got to change something. That's just me. That's hardcore, dude. I mean, there's no good way to avoid snakes. I mean, yeah, you can wait till it cools off, but you have areas like that. If the temperature gets above 55 degrees, 60 degrees, especially at 60 degrees, you're going to have snakes back out. I'll say this from, I think, past experience, interviewing some of the guys that we know that hunt swamps and big river bottoms like that. Very few of those guys are scouting this summer due to water level changes and different conditions. They're looking for more so fresh sign right around when season opens. Also, really good snake avoidance is anytime I'm around where I know there's going to be snakes, especially swampy areas, I'm real bad about not looking up at where I'm going. I'm more so eyes down low, looking around, picking my eyes back up, and so on. If you take your time through it, it doesn't make me super nervous unless I got to walk through some thick stuff that I can't see very good around water.
Yeah.
That's where I get a little more nervous. Again, knee boots, snake boots. There's a bunch of different brands out there that will help you a little bit with that, having a little bit more protection. And then also some snake gaiters. I mean, you've had some of those turtle skins.
Yeah, I got some turtle skins.
But again, I think a lot of guys that we know that hunt swamps, a lot of those guys are not scouting much during the summer. They're scouting postseason, right when season goes out, looking for sign before it greens up. If they get the opportunity to and it's not flooded out, or they're scouting, maybe a week or so before season opens, kind of laying eyes on everything where the food sources are at, if there's any oaks starting to produce, and so on. But we've scouted a couple swamps in the summertime, but the funny thing is, every time we've done that, I don't think we ever went back to hunt those areas.
Yeah, we've looked around a good bit. I was going to say, too, the cottonmouths are... I'll preface what I'm about to say with, they could be anywhere. They don't have to be, like, right next to water or anything like that. I mean, they'll be in the woods. But, that being said, most of the time, you're going to see them not only around water, but when you've got, like, brush all up in the water, too, like beaver dams, beaver lodges... just thickets on the edge where there's like woody structure around the water. That's where you got to be extra vigilant. And then I wear snake boots and just try to watch where I'm going.
So I don't even wear snake boots when I go. It's just keeping my eyes focused because normally I've had one time where I know for a fact I didn't see some snakes and ended up stepping on a couple. Thank God. I know one of them wasn't venomous. It was a banded water snake, but we got close. The time we hunted way back in the swamp.
Yeah.
It was cold in the morning. There was no snakes out before 9 o'clock.
They trapped us.
Midday, we got way back in the swamp, and midday got warm, about 60-something degrees, and them snakes started popping out, sunning everywhere. Mm-hmm. Just having good snake protection and just paying attention where you're going.
Yeah.
If you have your eyes, if you're really looking both for sun but also for snakes, you're going to be able to get past a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
This is more so the anxiety of if you got to go through some thicker cover, what's kind of down there and so on. But
yeah, be watching where you're going. But those times that you're mentioning, pretty much all the snakes that we saw there, they were either right next to the water, they were up against that cover like we were talking about, or those little ditches that go through the woods and swampy areas where there might be a little bit of water, like little low spots. They'll be in that too. So I'd just be extra vigilant when you're around that stuff. But I wouldn't let them scare you out of the woods or anything like that. I mean, they're out there. They're just a part of life, especially in the deep south. Now, like you said, that mosquito head net, on the other hand, whew,
nope.
That's rough. So kudos to you for being out there. That's awesome.
To be honest, you had a turkey hunt this spring that you could have used one of those mosquito nets.
I don't know if it would have helped that much. I'm serious. Because I saw it was kind of tight up against his ears, but they bite right through that sucker. Whew.
Yeah.
Don't like that.
Yeah. But again, kind of going back to that, swamps, herb bombs. Again, we don't know many guys who scout those successfully in the summertime to find what they're going to be hunting this coming fall, other than just spot checking some habitat edges and everything, but not really looking for sign. Most of those guys are kind of waiting a little bit. And I don't think it has to do with anything with snakes, just the conditions changing.
Yeah.
Especially if you're in an area that it does flood. Clearly, it's probably not going to flood this summer unless we have a crazy hurricane or something. But that sign kind of washes away a lot. And that's what a lot of those guys that episode hasn't come out yet. One of the guys we interviewed in Arkansas, he was talking about that. He's like, there's no point of summer scouting because everything that was there this fall had 4 feet of water on it, and there's no pass rut sign that's super noticeable for you. So he's like, you kind of are waiting for those oaks to start dropping, start producing, dropping, find that sign, and then kind of see what didn't get washed out.
Yeah.
And when the flood came through.
Yeah, one of the good things you can look for is, like you said, habitat edges and anything that might become a funnel later, like maybe the heads of some sloughs where some deer might be cutting around the head of that slough. You can find scrapes. Like if you've got a trained eye and you know what to look for with a licking branch, that one area that we scouted and then didn't end up hunting, that's what we were in there finding. And it was like scrape, scrape, scrape. We kept finding them, but we were finding them with the licking branches because you couldn't really see them on the ground. Like they'd been covered with leaves, they'd had water on top of them, and so it didn't look that distinguishable. But if you know how to spot a good licking branch, just that certain height, you just scan out through the woods, you see that branch at a certain height, you walk up to it, and you see it's twisted up, that's what you're looking for. And we've done that.
Yeah.
So
it takes an eye. It's going back, which we'll talk about this a little bit later on, but talk to some guys at the GON Outdoor Blast Expo, and they're like, man, we never find scrapes. And I'm like, sometimes it's hard to find them, the actual scrape on the ground, but the licking branches, which takes a little bit more of a trained eye to find it. Because I was telling them, you find those easy. You have a sharp eye. You pointed out licking branches from so far away. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm looking around. But see, I'm more, a lot of times.
Looking at the ground.
I'm looking for snakes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That actually, probably 9 times out of 10, when I find a scrape, I'm looking at the licking branch. I find it via a licking branch. Like, I'm looking out through the woods and I see it, and then walk up to it. I'm like, oh, yep, scrape, cool. I don't usually find the big scraped out part, unless it's the middle of the rut and you just can't miss it. You know, it's just cleaned out like a car hood.
Could you explain a couple of different examples of what to look for a licking branch? Like characteristics from a distance or something that would tip you off that that's probably a licking branch?
First thing is the height. That's probably the most important thing is definitely going to be the height. And it's probably 4 to 5 feet off of the ground, roughly, is what you're looking for. You're just looking for something that's hanging right there at that perfect height where a deer can easily put their head up in it and work that licking branch. The second thing I look for, the number one dead giveaway where you can tell from a distance like 100% it's a scrape, is if that limb's coming out and the tip of it snapped and hanging straight down at like a 90-degree angle. That's how I usually find them in the woods, is just looking for that. And that's how you can cover a lot of ground and be efficient, is you just look out through the woods and you're looking at all there'll be a bunch of branches that hang out at 4 feet. But when you see the one that's got the broken tip that's hanging 90 degrees downward, it's like pointing at the scrape. It's like, here's a scrape right here. That's probably the best way looking at it. And then on top of that, when I get to the scrape, what I'm looking for that gets me excited is if that licking branch is pretty big and it's twisted up and just gnarly and you can tell it's been chewed on, or if there's multiple branches, or especially if there's multiple big branches that are all twisted up. That's what I like to find. Or one of the better scrapes I found, it's not in a swamp, it's actually it's on a more ridge line kind of area that Mike went and scouted last weekend where me and you were turkey hunting. There's a scrape I found there in the spring doing this where I saw it, sparkleberry bush, just hanging over perfect like you'd want, and walked up there, found a good scrape. I'm like, okay, cool, it's a nice scrape. Pinned it, turned around, and like 10 feet away, there's another one. And then like 10 feet away from that one, there's another one. And there's 3 big scrapes in probably like a, 20 square yard area.
Where did we turkey hunt?
We were both out there hunting, but you weren't with me that day.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I still don't know, but okay. Cool.
I'm trying to...
It all runs together now.
Yeah. I'll show you a pin. But I like finding those especially because if there's 3 scrapes right there in one little area, there's a lot of bucks coming through there and working it. One theory on that I've heard people say is the reason that they work multiple scrapes in a small area, or they work multiple licking branches. Like, you'll find a beech tree that has basically licking branches all the way around it. And sometimes you'll find a scrape where literally the entire drip line of that tree is a scrape, like a circle going all the way around the tree. And one theory about why that is like different bucks come through and they want their own licking branch. Like, they come up and smell it and they're like, well, I want to be distinct. I want to do this one over here. And so that's why they get bigger, or maybe they'll make a new scrape like 5 yards off. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it makes sense to me. And I definitely see more bucks come through on scrapes like that than anything else. So I've got one camera that's been soaking for a year that I haven't went and got yet. It's been sitting on a scrape like that. I cannot wait to go get it. I need to make the time to go up there and do it. But anyways, you got anything else on the scrapes?
Well, I was gonna say, you're talking about multiple licking branches. For anyone that's an audio listener, if you're a viewer on YouTube and you want to hear more details about like looking for those scrapes and the multiple licking branches, we got an episode it's episode 286 from October 2021 called Licking Branch Magic with Greg Skufka. That is not on video. It's on YouTube. It's on audio only. But it's a great episode where he talks about how he implements scrapes and adds extra licking branches, or moves scrapes, or makes a mock scrape, adding a bunch of different licking branches. And he talks a lot about it. That was part of his theories. Like, every buck wants to kind of have their own licking branch, so you need to have multiple on a set.
Yep.
Get multiple bucks to really use it a whole bunch. Of course, we've all seen scrapes that only has one licking branch, and there's tons of bucks using them. But it's a really interesting episode if y'all want to go check that out. On audio only, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the website.
Yeah, definitely. All right, next up, we got old Sam Brown from Maryland. Sam's always on our Patreon meetings. We appreciate you, Sam. So let's see what he's got.
Hey guys, this is Sam from Maryland. Listen, if you're anything like me, on these days when it's 100 degrees in the afternoon and sometimes well into the dark, I like to spend my time inside, working on whatever I can to kind of get ready for the upcoming season, whether it's tuning my bow, fletching a few new arrows, or maybe even doing a little bit of e-scouting, kind of whatever I can do to get out of that heat, I'm going to take. But before I get to my question, I wanted to get up on my soapbox for a couple seconds. Recently, you guys talked on the podcast about professions that allow for more time in the woods during deer season, and that being kind of key to being a successful, not only hunter, but mature buck hunter especially. I feel like one of the ones that's overlooked pretty often is going to be surveying. So I think there's a ton of benefits that make surveying a great fit for a hunter. Firstly, we're spending a lot of time outdoor, and often that's on great properties that I might never be on otherwise. That means even when I'm working, I get to kind of hone in on my woodmanship even more. I treat every day out there like it's a scouting trip. I'm looking for sign. I'm mentally mapping, how I would get in, how I would access, just anything like that, anything I take note of. That's interesting to me throughout the day. Secondly, the profession. It's really simple to get into. You don't need experience to become a surveyor. If you got the willingness to learn, most outfits will train you on the job. Thirdly, the demand. It's at an all-time high for licensed surveyors. The average age in the U.S. for a licensed surveyor is just under 60 years old right now. That means in the next 5 to 10 years, that workforce is going to be retiring, and there's going to be a big void that can only be filled by other licensed surveyors. While all that's going on, most states are recognizing that, and they're making it easier than ever for people to get their licensure. If you're coming out of high school today, you can start work full-time at a surveying outfit, and even if you're just taking, say, one night class a semester, by the time you finish any sort of certification or 2-year degree that you might need to sit for the test, you'll have enough work experience, field experience to be able to take those tests 5 to 6 years down the road. It's a really good option. So your mileage may vary from state to state. It does depend on certain state laws, but for the most part, it's getting easier in every state. And once you get that license, that's really where your golden opportunity lies. So there are plenty of LSs that are just one-man shows. It's going to let you set your schedule however you want to. If you want to front load your year, so you're doing a lot of work through, February, March, April, May, whatever it is, so that you can take the most time off in the fall, it's really up to you at that point. Secondly, once you have that licensure and you're the one actually interacting with clients, it's going to open up relationships with property owners that you might not have otherwise had a door in with. Not only that, but you can use your profession as a goods and services almost. Maybe you have a property owner and say, hey, I'll do this survey project for you for free if you let me access your land and hunt your land for a year. So the opportunities are really endless. If you guys are interested, look into it. Holding an LS pushes you into 6 figures easily. So the salary is really competitive and really good. And you're going to be in demand once you hold that license. So if you're interested at all, look up your local state surveying society chapter. Almost every state has a survey society, and then they have local chapters within. So look that up on Facebook or something. Reach out to a member, and they'll get you sorted out if you're interested at all. But now back to my actual question. So I find myself struggling a little bit with e-scouting. So when I come into a new property and it's something I'm looking at, something that I might be interested in, I find it really hard not to overthink just the e-scouting aspect of it. I always really want to right away narrow down to one specific spot and drop a pin. And if the spot doesn't look perfect for whatever reason, I always struggle to even want to put a pin there to even go scout it without even putting eyes on it. I kind of get paralysis of sorts. So my question for y'all is, when you're e-scouting, and we're talking hill country, big timber, where the edges aren't necessarily as defined and easily apparent as they might be in, say, a timber company, pine country sort of land. What are you guys focusing on? What specific things are you looking at? And how many of those things do you need to narrow down to and see in one spot for you to put down a pin to get out there and even scout it to begin with? Is it one thing? Is it two things? I'd be interested to see what both of you say. I'm sure you'll have different opinions on it. I know y'all both have different opinions on e-scouting to begin with, but any advice would be greatly appreciated. Thank you, guys.
All right, Sam coming in with the career advice. That's good stuff, dude.
Very good stuff.
Yeah.
Surveyor.
Licensed surveyor. Actually, I'm not a surveyor. I didn't go into that, but I did look into it when I was in college, and it was tempting. That's cool, man. That's really good. We've been talking for years about doing a career podcast about what are the best jobs to allow you time hunting and allow you freedom and everything. That's a good one. Might have to add that to the list. We've got a running list of professions that we need to have a conversation about.
Oh, yeah.
So that's some good stuff.
For sure. But to e-scouting.
E-scouting. All right.
What gets you excited to make you want to walk into an area?
So talking big woods, not pine country here, but big woods.
Pine country could be big woods.
Well, it depends on who you're talking to.
I mean, it's woods. Ain't no
It is
open
woods.
area. It's clear cuts.
It is. For me, I think really, I just need to see one really good, I use this term a lot, but one good focal point. And I'm thinking of two areas in particular that Sam, is kind of like what you're talking about, like what I consider big woods. It's all big mature timber. There's not clear cuts all over the place or anything like that. There's no fields or anything. It's just maybe different kinds of timber, but it's not like pine country or anything like that. And in both of these areas, I went in and was able to locate a bunch of really good target deer, and we've killed some bucks in one of the spots. And in both of those areas, what I was looking for was one feature that I thought would either hold a lot of deer or at least funnel a lot of deer. It didn't have to be I didn't have to find 10 things in one small area. I just had to find something that I knew that deer would be on, and then I'll go check it out. And then a lot of the little secondary spots I would find once I'm in there, essentially. One of the areas in particular, without giving too much away, one of the things that got me really interested in it was the way that the ridge faces. It gave me a really good north versus south slope. And at least around here, we're really probably anywhere, but around here, the south-facing slopes are usually going to have sparkleberry, greenbrier, vines, more pine trees, whatever the case may be, just more trees that make the woods a little bit thicker. And then the north-facing slopes are usually going to be a lot more open. And so I was looking for a big saddle, a thermal hub, a big flat, any kind of terrain feature on that south-facing slope that would, again, either hold deer or funnel deer or both. And so that's what I go into. So I went to a big flat in one spot and I found what I was looking for. I found scrapes. I found thick mountain laurel. I found thick sparkleberry, thick cane thickets down in the bottoms. In another one, it's a big thermal hub, and it's not really thick around there per se, but it was just this huge thermal hub, gigantic thermal hub, biggest one in the whole area. And sure enough, there's a big scrape down there. And then that scrape in the thermal hub that initially got me interested, I put a scrape on it, and I had a really nice 8-point working that scrape, but there was just one. But then on all the points around it, once I got in there and started looking around, and I put cameras on the scrapes on the points, then I located 8 bucks that I would be happy to shoot. And so that's what I'm talking about, where I find that one focal point where I'm there's probably deer around this thing. Then I can go in there and kind of focus on that and then build around it. But it could also be a thicket in the middle of the woods, from whatever reason. It could be pine beetle kills, it could be storm damage, it could be a natural glade or something like that. Old clear cut, 20-year-old clear cut in a big area that never gets clear cut. There's going to be some habitat diversity there. So just something like that to get me into the area, and then I'll figure out the rest on the ground. But that's worked really well for me over the last, I guess we've been hunting that for 4 years now. And it's worked really well for me. But what about you?
Habitat edges, number one. I've gone to Arkansas, Got in Arkansas, Iowa, not really so much Kansas, but kind of Kansas too, Alabama. Like the more
Kansas ain't big woods. What are you talking about?
I know, but I'm just thinking just East Coast in total. I'm going to get to the big wood thing.
Okay.
But like that habitat diversity and edges is the first thing I look for. In big woods, you can't see a lot of that unless there's like cutting activity, logging activity.
Yeah.
They're clear cutting. Now, if you have clear cuts, that's awesome. Again, you find where multiple different age clear cuts are in a general area, maybe 1,000-acre area. The points that connect all those clear cuts together are spots you want to check out, especially if it's creek drainages and draws. But habitat diversity is huge. In big woods, though, you can't normally see, if there's truly no logging happening, you can't see habitat diversity and really much of any kind of edges unless you're boots on the ground. And it's all sub-canopy habitat edges. So in that circumstance, it's more focus on a terrain feature or two or three that gets my attention. Especially if they're all in the general vicinity of an area, and especially if they're not crazy obvious. And what I mean is, like, it's cool we find like a giant saddle, but more than likely anybody else that has OnX or any other mapping software out there, they're going to see that feature. That's cool, but is there like any kind of small secondary points kind of adjacent to it, 300 yards, 400 yards away, or again, a thermal hub where there's multiple creek drainages and draws all come together in a certain spot that's worth looking at, and a spot I could probably find a scrape somewhere around that location.
Yeah.
Finding that, and then once you get boots on the ground, you go to like one of those terrain features, you then will find the habitat edges inside the timber. You'll find those areas like what you're talking about, the storm damage, the bug kills, the areas where there's more sunlight getting through the canopy, where there's going to be more sub-canopy habitat and vegetation, and those are going to create your habitat edges. Mountain laurel, I know where he's up at, there's tons of mountain laurel, at least in some of the spots that Sam's talked about and showed me before. Mountain laurel in those thick drainages and on the sides of ridges is the habitat edge. A lot of that stuff, though, you can't see until you get boots on the ground, but that's why I focus on the terrain features first, and features that you really kind of get your attention, that looks for that set up for two things, like long range travel for deer during the rut, specifically bucks, and then also areas that they can escape if there's hunting pressure. So you have different elevation changes, you have different draws, different spots that they can navigate outside of walking the top of a ridge to be able to navigate through a property. And then once you get boots on the ground, you're going to find the habitat edges, under the canopy. And then once you find that, follow some of those. Like walk them, see where you're seeing the tracks, where you're seeing the trails, you're seeing any old buck sign, and so on. But yeah, big wood setting, if there's not a lot of clear-cut activity and logging activity, find terrain features first, walk in there, and then take notes of all the habitat edges that you're finding. If it's all wide open hardwoods, or if it's all thick timber, if it's all wide open timber or all thick timber, you got to find what's different. It's like fishing. It's like if everything looks the same, you got to find the one thing that stands out a little bit different. Like where's that brush pile away from everything else? Maybe a little bit deeper water, a little shallower water. Same thing with fish, or same thing with deer hunting. It's just trying to find like there's some differences in diversity in one of those spots, and that's probably where you're going to find more of your sign.
That's a good point. I'm actually glad you brought that up, because one of those areas actually is the big flat I was mentioning. So I found this big flat that I was interested in, which in hill country is just where the ridge goes up and it's flat somewhere. It could be on the top or it could be on the side of the ridge somewhere, but there's a pretty nice size flat in this one spot. And I got to looking at it, and the thing that actually made me walk in there, and this is one of the better spots that I've actually found, and that's where that camera's at that I haven't checked in a year, that's on a big old giant scrape right on top of that flat, baby. But that spot, I found the flat, and then I went to Google Earth where you can go back and look through all the images like over the years, and I was flipping back through looking at the canopy, because some of the images are leaf on, some of them are leaf off, and I looked back through, and what I found was leading up to this flat, there's like a drainage going up to it, and on both sides of the drainage there's a mountain laurel, and you can see it on the satellite images. You get a good leaf off image, you can see that there's like green underneath the canopy, and it's kind of broke up, but you can tell it's mountain laurel. And it was on either side of the drainage, and then there was no mountain laurel in the drainage going up. So basically it was like an open lane going up this drainage straight up to the flat between those two laurel thickets. And one of the laurel thickets, quote unquote, is not thick at all. I mean, it's choked out with laurel. You can't really hunt it. But once you get into it, the laurel's like huge. I mean, you can just walk underneath it. You can see up underneath it and everything. but when you're standing on the edge of it, you can't see into it. So there's that one. The other one on the other side of the drainage is like gnarly and thick and steep and just nasty. It's like sucks to walk through. It's rocky. And when I walked up through that drainage, there's 2 trails running right up the middle of the drainage going up to the flat, and then there's a bunch of trails crossing back and forth. And I'd kind of put a bunch of cameras all over this spot like 2 or 3 years ago on different trails and different scrapes in there. And in total, there was like 9 or 10 shooter bucks in there. And in that drainage, like I had all the bucks on different cameras, but the only spot where I had all the bucks on one camera was in that drainage between those 2 laurel thickets. So that's what got me to actually go in there, and I found all the spots around it, but that's what caught my attention was the flat and then the habitat edge. Combining those 2 things, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go in there and check it out. Mm-hmm. And then you just make a day of it and just look around and like really cover the area really, really good. Make sure you do your due diligence, and it paid off for me. So yeah. I got to get back in there soon, man. I got to go get that camera. It's like Christmas morning, seeing what we got.
Or if it's still there, turkey hunter might have grabbed it.
Turkey hunter might have grabbed it. You never know. You never know. That's when our cameras get messed with, is if we leave them out through turkey season. I don't know what it is about y'all turkey hunters, man. I'm one too, but I don't mess with nobody's cameras. I don't know why people do it.
Hey guys, it's Jake. We got a quick tip for you in this podcast. One thing I've been working on over the last year is trying to figure out how to be less bulky really while saddle hunting and mobile whitetail hunting. And the biggest issue I always had was I really liked really large packs, and the problem was outside of certain points of the season, like when it got really cold, I never used the full capacity of some of those really big backpacks. One thing I started doing is using a smaller pack that has a lot more expandable capacity, so you can still pack a lot of stuff if you need to, but it's also very streamlined. It's super easy to go in and out of the woods with, especially during early season or just when you're not packing a lot of cold weather gear. This is the Latitude Ranger 22. I used this all last season, and I could pack a surprising amount of gear in that pack, specifically a bunch of cold weather gear, both bibs, jackets, extra layers, along with a platform, or when I was hybrid hunting with a small little lock-on, having a small lock-on on here as well, along with my sticks. And this backpack works really well with that. So if you're in the market for a new backpack and you're trying to streamline what you're doing, I'd really highly recommend looking at the Ranger 22 from Latitude Outdoors. And you can check out the Ranger 22 at latitudeoutdoors.com.
If you're enjoying this show, there's one place you need to be this August, and that is the Mobile Hunters Expo in Dalton, Georgia. We get a lot of questions about how do you find new hunting buddies, how do you find like-minded people who like to hunt the way that you do, who you can bounce ideas off of, go on trips with, whatever the case may be. The Mobile Hunters Expo is the place to do that. If you're wanting to go get connected with the community and meet like-minded individuals, the Mobile Hunters Expo is it. So not only are you going to get the chance to network around and meet other people in this space, but also all the mobile hunting gear is going to be there. If you've ever wanted to try any saddles, lock-ons, sticks, or any other kind of niche mobile hunting gear, this is the place to do it. You know, a lot of those companies are direct to consumer, so you can't just go to a store like a Bass Pro or anything like that and try these products out. This is going to be the place you can do it. So mark your calendars, August 8th through the 10th, Dalton, Georgia. We'll see you there.
But yeah, so hope that answers your question, Sam. And hopefully, Sam, you're going to be on the next Patreon meeting.
Talk about this in greater detail.
It'll have already happened since when this episode comes up, but
yeah.
But yeah, get the next Patreon Hunters Hangout meeting come up very soon.
Yeah. All right, let's do a quick show recap. GON Outdoor Blast.
Okay, cool.
So we just got back from Emerson, Georgia, the GON Outdoor Blast. It was a blast. We had a really, really good time there. Had a bunch of y'all come by. We stayed busy talking pretty much the entire time. Mm-hmm. Talking to a lot of mountain guys. A lot of guys that hunt the North Georgia mountains. That was super fun. Guys that hunt the Piedmont too. But anything that stuck out from the show for you?
It was one thing that was interesting. We met a lot of you guys who just recently found the show. I talked to one guy. He's like, dude, we just started seeing your stuff like 2 weeks ago. Started watching it 2 weeks ago, and now kind of fully hooked. It was like a husband wife.
Yeah.
Dude, they actually came and got some Freezer Queen shirts, and it was an interesting conversation. But it was interesting because we had a mix of people come through. Some of the guys we've met before. Some of them brand new. We never met before, but you know, some have been listening for 3 or 4 years, 5 years. Some have been listening for just a couple months or a couple weeks. But it's cool to kind of see that everybody from all over Georgia. Had one guy one of Ray Martin's buddies. I do not remember your name, brother. Came up from Miami with his family and was hanging out at the show, which was really cool to see. So she's trying to talk us and go deer hunting in Florida again. And I'm like, I don't know. But then he started telling me some details about one place. I'm like, okay, now you got my attention. But yeah, that was fun. But also it was fun because we had our buddy Michael Perry and Kathy Perry, his wife, there. And then our buddy, of course, Dave Owens was right next to us with Pinotti Project. It was a great time just seeing everybody. Because one thing is with GON Outdoor Blast, we get to see a lot more of our Georgia fans. When we go over to the World Deer Expo in Birmingham, there's some that come over from Georgia, and we met some at Georgia, and we met some that were at the World Deer Expo that also came to the GON Blast. But it's just fun kind of seeing a group of everybody, and it was also amazing how many people I talked to who said that they're coming to the Mobile Hunters Expo in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because Mobile Hunters Expo is August 8th through the 10th, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Dalton, Georgia. And there's a lot of those people that we talked to, a lot of the listeners and viewers that are coming up to that show for the first time ever, which is going to be super exciting.
Yeah, that's going to be great, man. It was a good time. Got to see a guy win a truck, little truck buck shootout.
Well, we didn't go watch it, but we heard him.
Yeah, well, you could hear it when he made the winning shot.
That was one of the coolest things.
You hear it.
With GON doing the truck buck shootout. It's a really cool competition. Hopefully they bring it back to a couple other states, including Alabama. But they have a whole competition where if you're subscribed to the magazine in Georgia, you kill a buck. And I don't understand exactly how the scoring system works and everything, but you get the buck scored. And if you shot the biggest buck that week, you are entered to win for the truck buck shootout, which is awesome because taking a pellet gun, shooting from, I think it's 30 feet all the way back to 60 feet iron sights, starting with clay pigeons and then going over to an egg. Last one standing was a brand new Chevy Silverado 1500, which is just pretty sweet.
The Z71 Trail Boss.
And the guy this year, Perry was telling me this, Mike Perry was telling me this, the guy who won this year was also a public land hunter, which is pretty cool. So it's cool to see that public land hunter coming up on top.
Oh, yeah.
Killing a big deer.
Yeah, you got your grunt call around your neck.
Sold a bunch of these. So people have been asking on social media. We had our grunt calls last year, custom grunts, and they sold out, I think, in a week.
They sold out in like a day.
Well, if you count Patreon and newsletter. But yeah, okay. Sold out very quickly. We ended up getting a new batch in. We're launching them exclusively at these trade shows and these expos. And then whatever's left, if there's anything left, will go on the website.
Yep.
So we've sold a bunch of these already. World Deer Expo, GON Outdoor Blast, and now we have some for the Mobile Hunters Expo coming up. Mm-hmm. If you want one of these grunt calls, and this is the grunt call me and Andrew's been using for 4 years now, you need to come pick one up at the Mobile Hunters Expo. Or you can risk it for the biscuit and see if there's some left over after the show and be one of the first ones to grab one off the website. But the cool thing about this grunt call, and we'll show you real quick, is it does not take a lot of air. I've had a bunch of different grunt calls, and the thing about grunt call I really don't like is one that you have to use a lot of airflow to get to break over.
Yep.
To start vibrating, to start making sound. And in high pressure situations or when you're cold, you can really make it pop and go too hard. You can't really control the airflow, and also you can't call soft on a call like that. This is not like that. This is very, very soft reed. It's got a brass insert on it that makes it break over a lot quicker, a lot easier. And even you can run it without even putting your mouth on it, which I'm just going to show you how light this reed is. So my mouth's, I don't know, 3 inches from it, 4 inches from it, and it'll break over. But yeah, this grunt call's phenomenal. We've had a lot of guys again ask about that, and we've got a really good episode coming out for you guys this fall about calling deer and grunting deer in.
We got two.
We have two. We got one. Both of them I'm very excited about, but one it's been like 3 years in the making.
Yeah, it has been.
It'll come out this fall, but we talk a lot about like this grunt call and the calling style that works for these two guys who are well known for deer calling and grunting deer. But yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, one of the interesting things at the show was as people were picking them up, we were running the call in the booth and everything,
Oh, yeah.
and you were having a lot of people who bought one. You're like, hey, run it real quick. Show me how you would run it. And most of the time, they were putting way too much air through it.
Yeah, because most guys are used to, a call that has a very, very stiff reed. We've all done it. We're like, you got to put a little airflow in it. And you might not notice you're doing that until you pick up this call, and then you blow it, and you blow it way too hard.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, it takes such little air pressure, which I really like. Just because in certain situations I can be really quiet with it, or if I need to pick up the volume, I can if I need to. But yeah, I was telling guys, like, I'm calling it like sometimes as low as a 20% volume, all the way up to maybe 40%, maybe 50, just depending on the situation. And then if it's got some wind, we get some wind noise, leaves rustling, I'll pick up a little bit louder if I need to. But, I'm just trying to throw a cast of a call out, blind calling, that if something's within 100, maybe 150 yards, it hears it and kind of, be able to draw it in and calling quite a bit.
Let's get a little demo. We did this last year, but I think it's good to have a little refresher, especially before we go into this fall. So, what were most people doing, and then what do you do?
So this is what most people do. I give them the call, and they do this. They just blow it. They're like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, you don't have to blow it hard, man. Like, you put a lot of air in there, and that wasn't even that much air. But they put a lot of air into it, and they just kind of like overpower the call. Which you can do that if it is a situation where it's really windy and you're trying to reach out and draw a deer from a distance. But more times than not, I don't leave the bottom open. I kind of cup it to make it resonate a little bit more. And actually the vibrations are coming out through my hand and also through the call itself, through the wood. And it's not necessarily muffling the call, but it's kind of controlling the call a little bit better and keeping it a little more consistent. But it's doing like some people call it tending grunt. And as we hear from an episode coming up this fall, it's also, a tending grunt can also be a contact grunt. Sounds almost the same, it's just how many notes you're putting in between it.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing. And like the way you can run the grunt call is a bunch of different ways, but you can do it subtle enough that if you have deer around you, the deer are hearing you, especially does, but they're not spooked by it because you're not blowing out the call itself. And that's what I was telling a lot of guys. Like, I had more confidence calling deer and calling throughout the whole season by calling around does and watching their reaction. And then building confidence that, like, they don't really care about it, but if there's a buck in the air, he'll come in and investigate, and it works out really well for me pretty much every year. So.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so what do you do?
This is the normal call sequence, specifically blind calling, which would become more of like a tending grunt. Learned this from Richard Fott, episode 290 or 289 or 298, something like that.
No, I think it's 290.
290, episode 290, calling deer the right way, Richard Fott. But anyways, this is it right here. Also, when I'm doing it, if you're in a tree stand, if you're in a saddle, or if you're on the ground, it doesn't matter, but you're calling and you're moving, you're like turning in different directions. So like I'm stuck in this chair and the microphone's right in front of me, so I'm not going to try to do it too much because I can't move too far to the left and right. But I would try to call almost 360 degrees around, doing 8 to 10 notes roughly, grunting. So there he goes. Just like that.
And, most of the time I've heard bucks grunting in the woods, it sounds just like that.
Yeah.
Where it's just, bark, bark, bark.
And it's one of those things, like, you hear it a lot of times, and you're like, was that a frog or was that a deer? Like, for real. Like,
yeah.
And you'll hear does do that. Like, a doe with a fawn will, like, literally just do, like, a one note, like, kind of like that. Mm-hmm. Just like small, like a little contact grunt, just kind of going back and forth. But that's how I call most of the time now. It gets a little bit closer, like a little bit more into the rut aspect. If I see a hot doe coming through, or if I see a doe in the area, I see a buck kind of messing with her, I'll pick it up a little bit more, call a little bit more aggressive, maybe a slight more volume, and so on. But it's also kind of like just reading the situation. And then snort wheezing. Love snort wheezing. And I don't use a call for that. I do it with my mouth.
Give us a snort wheeze. Come on.
It's super easy. It's super loud. And also, we've killed deer blind call snort wheezing when we had a hot doe in the area. So
that's good.
Yeah.
So you're cupping your hands.
Yeah, I'm like almost like doing it in between my thumbs. I'm putting my thumbs together, and I'm calling in between the first knuckle of my thumbs. I'm blowing. I'm like making the kind of like the S sound, like that. Kind of have your tongue up to the roof of your mouth. You're blowing air over the top of your tongue through your teeth, and you're just putting a lot of air through it, and you're kind of like sealing it off a little bit.
Yeah, another thing, by the way, I've heard deer do is when they snort wheeze, it's not always the ch-ch-ch. Sometimes it's just like ch-ch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can have like that little wheeziness in it. That's why I don't feel like you get that with a call. Like I've seen like some of the grunt calls that have like the little tube on top that you can snort wheeze through.
Yeah.
And I just don't like when I've heard more bucks snort wheeze, especially in Alabama in the last like 4 years than I had never even heard them before that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is where we're hunting or how we're hunting or whatever, putting yourself in situations where you're hearing it more often. But like you hear, especially if it's close enough, like I've had one close, like within 60 yards do it, and you can hear that like it's almost like fluid in the back of their throat when they're doing it. Like, let me see if I can imitate it. I can just do it. No, I didn't do it that time. But you can almost hear like
You get an E for effort.
yeah, there's like a secondary like cadence, it's not a cadence, but like a sound with it that you can't really get from a call snort wheezing, but a snort.
It's like in the back of their throat.
yeah.
Almost like a
when they're
little
exhaling-
gurgle kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a gurgle in the backside of it. And like there's a couple videos I saw. One someone sent me. Might have been sometime earlier spring. Someone had filmed a buck come run right underneath the stand. Clearly, the guy was trying to kill a giant because he didn't even pick up his bow for this deer. And it was a big deer. He came underneath the tree stand and snort wheeze, and you could hear it. Like you could hear like deer's fired up. He's kind of like salivating, whatever, and he does it. I mean, you can just imagine he's throwing spit everywhere as he's exhaling doing that. So yeah,
Big old rutting bucks, baby.
well, snort wheeze again. Very specific timing of the year, preferably when you're seeing chasing. And
A good video example of this is our hunt from a couple years back.
yeah,
The SOA hunt where we doubled up. That's on our YouTube channel. I think it's called like Alabama Redemption or something
Yep.
like that. Because I missed the crap out of a big buck, but then I ended up getting one afterwards. If you go to our YouTube channel, it's on the homepage. It's like pinned. It's the pinned video on our homepage, and in that one we use snort wheezing, and your buck came.
Oh, I was snort wheezing like crazy.
Yeah.
Because we had a hot doe come through, buck bredder. There was 5 other bucks with her. They all took off running. And then after you end up shooting one,
It was like 10 minutes later.
I got
the 10-point came through that I shot.
yeah, I climbed down. You gave me the gun. I gave you the camera. I climbed back at the tree. You went up the tree. And then every 10 minutes, I was just, forget running. I'm just snort wheezing because I want to act like I'm the buck locked down with the doe and there's another buck in
Yeah.
the surrounding area. I'm trying to tell another buck to like, hey, back off.
Yeah, because those bucks that were chasing the doe, they were grunting, snort wheezing, and fighting.
Yeah.
And breeding
Yeah.
in front of us. It was awesome. It's a good video. But in that video, you can see kind of how Jacob likes to snort wheeze, and it worked. We killed a buck. Mm-hmm. Two
Yeah.
bucks, about 30 minutes apart.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Great hunt.
So, but yeah, snort wheezing's awesome. But again, don't need a call for it. Just practice a little bit with it. But yeah, grunt call again, not being super loud, really it's not just trying not to be super loud unless like the time calls for it.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I mean deer are always kind of just grunting. I mean we've had like you had a trail camera video we posted last year, the really nice 8-point, running a spike off. And he didn't snort wheeze in it, but like as he's running, he does like a little like kind of like that.
Yep.
And then I think he turned and just went
Yep.
like that. So, anyways, yeah, they can be very vocal. So that'd
Yeah.
be a good grunt call you can run. And again, like this, like super sensitive. You don't even have to touch the call in order to make it go off.
You know, growing up, I never heard deer grunting in the woods. Like I never heard it in the woods. Very, very rarely. And I hear that from a lot of people too. And just here probably in the last 6 or 7 years, I've started hearing it much more frequently.
See,
And I think you have too. What
Yeah.
do you think the reason for that is? I'm curious.
I think
'Cause
it's
I've
like-
got my thoughts on
I
it.
think it's first off having an eared tune because a lot of times it's not like they're grunting right next to you. It's like 100 yards away and you hear it, you're like, ain't
that
no
a
way.
grunt?
And then all of a sudden it's a grunt. Like I had a hunt early season last year bow hunting in October, maybe November. Slipped into a spot where I'd seen a giant on public land like 3 years previously with my brother-in-law. Got in there, got situated, and I called. Actually, I might have forgot my grunt call that day. I might have. I try not to. I try to keep one always in my backpack. Keep one of these calls in my backpack. But I heard a deer get up. I was hunting at SMZ with the clear cuts around the SMZ, that ditch, streamside management zone, and I heard something start walking through the clear cut, and all of a sudden I could just hear that like. Just like that, and you just hear him walking. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I didn't have my grunt call because I was like, I would have attempted to call a lot at that deer, try to get him to come in. But I don't know. I mean, I would say like some people. I think it's like kind of where you hunt and how you hunt. Like, I think that's part of it. But also, I don't know. Maybe deer numbers are getting a little bit higher, so you have a higher odds of running into a deer that wants to be a little more vocal.
Yeah.
Because like I even had to hunt last year on public land, sitting on a food plot.
Yeah.
And had a buck come out there grunting.
Yeah.
He was a little buck, but he was out there just going like this. And messing with does. And then a nice one came out, and if he would have had brow tines, he was legal, but if he would have had brow tines, he would have definitely got shot. Because I was debating in my head, I'm like, if you were half a mile closer to access, I would 100% shoot you. But back here, it's not worth it.
Right.
You know, camera guy Caden, he was a little upset with that.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I think it is?
What?
We had some people asking us this weekend what our favorite podcast guests have been.
Uh-huh.
And I was telling someone, for me, it was definitely Glenn Solomon. That was originally episode 116. And he was one of the first episodes that I was telling the people this weekend, like, he kind of taught us how to do the show, meaning that interview, like, turned a light bulb on for us and helped us out, but also it did really well for us. Like, a lot of people listened to it and wrote in about it and were happy with it. And one of the things that turned a light bulb on for us was Glenn was very simple on, like, you just got to hunt in thick cover and around thick cover. Like, don't hunt the pretty woods is what he kept saying. So, and when I think back about how I used to hunt growing up, we were always hunting the pretty woods. We were hunting like the big open hardwoods. We were hunting the food plots and everything like that. And like occasionally you would have a deer come by grunting, but not usually. And you a lot of times don't hear them from a long ways off. You can see a long ways. And, you know, if you see a deer, like it's whatever, but you don't usually hear them grunting in those situations. But then when you start hunting in the thick cover and around the thick cover, you're just around deer more. Like, I think of where we hunt with Wes, where you shot that nice buck last year, that general area. You're all set up around this one big thicket, and it's like the deer are in that thicket, like they're in it. And if you sneak up to it, as long as you don't blow them out, you know they're in there. And so for the whole duration of that hunt, if you sit there for 5 hours, you've probably got deer within 200 yards of you, dang near the entire time. They're just in that cover, and you can't see them, but you can hear them in there a lot of times. And that was always weird to me. Like, we were talking to Aaron Warburton a couple weeks ago, and on their videos and in the interview, he like, when I was watching the Hunt in Public a couple years ago, and they were always talking about hearing deer cough. I'm like, hearing a deer cough? What? Like, I've never heard a deer cough. But it's because they're always hunting, like, right up on the bedding, and they're always right there in the thickets. They're always within earshot of deer.
And they're quiet getting into a tree and getting to the tree.
Yes.
If you ain't quiet and you're bumping stuff out, you ain't ever going to hear that.
I think that's the difference. It's just hunting like closer to where the deer are actually hanging out in daylight, rather than hunting in a destination food source or, in those pretty woods where usually they're there after dark. Sometimes they'll come through there during the day, but you're not like really that close to the deer during the daytime unless they're up and moving, right? What do you think about that?
No, I mean, I think that's a factor. I mean, if you're in an area that deer feel very confident and comfortable moving around in during daylight, more than likely you're going to see them do more of those characteristics of vocalizations.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that could be a factor. But then again, I sat on a food plot last year on public land and had, again, it wasn't a big deer. It was a little deer. I was grunting out there with that other buck I was very tempted to shoot. But
especially with old Caden with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Caden's like the devil on your shoulder.
Oh,
every deer that walks out, he's like, shoot.
No, he's like, I'm on him. I'm like, I'm not killing that deer. I'm like, do you know how far we are right now? He's like, there's two of us. He's like, we can get it out. I'm like, I like your enthusiasm, but I'm okay.
Man, Caden's so fun to hunt with.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, good times.
Well, anyways, getting to a point of wrapping up. Mobile Hunters Expo, we've been talking about it for a month now, probably. Y'all be there. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. We talked to a bunch of people about it this weekend. Probably the highlight of the whole weekend is Bobby Worthington's going to be doing a seminar. He's going to be there selling his books. Final Quest, his new book that came out last year, he's going to have them. So you can go pick you up a book.
Get your signed copy.
Yeah, I was talking to a couple listeners who were like, I got a question for Bobby, and I'm like, go to the expo. You can ask him.
Yeah, and it's not even just that. I mean, we get a seminar too. We're like kind of like, subpar speakers probably. We'll see.
We have no business sharing the stage with Bobby Worthington.
Yeah,
we know.
Bronson Strickland, everybody. But the other awesome thing about it, you're going to meet some fantastic deer hunters from across the Southeast that are that are driving hours to get to that show. Like, there's guys coming 8-9 hours away to get to that show. But also you have every major brand in the mobile hunting space, like stuff that we talk about all the time on the podcast, from saddle hunting and sticks to mobile lock-on and hang-on stands and sticks, to climbing platforms for saddle hunting, to climbers and a bunch of different tree stands, to literally anything under the sun that's mobile hunting related, packs, everything. Everything's there. You can try it. You can try literally every manufacturer of a saddle company that's there. I mean, literally everybody's there. Every combination of everything. Talk to the owners of these companies. Talk to some of the founding members, the designers, the engineers. And you can also purchase at the show. So if you're kind of on the fence about maybe trying to get into mobile hunting and you don't really know whether you want to get like a newer climber, whether you want to get a saddle and sticks, whether you want to rock a hang-on and sticks, this is where you go to try everything in one day, or you can come all 3 days. In one day, try everything, and then make a decision right there and purchase it there, so you don't have to buy something online, because 99% of this stuff you're going to see at the show, you can't go buy at a big box store. You're probably not going to buy it from most bow shops. And even if a bow shop carries some of these products, they're not going to let you try it before you buy it, which is a problem. So this is the best way to go do it. Again, invest a little bit of time. Your ticket price, pretty cheap getting in order for you to figure out what you want to use this fall. Talk to some experts in that space, and then make a decision so you're ready to go for this fall. So,
yeah, dude. It's going to be fun. We'll see y'all there.
Yep, perfect. So thank y'all for watching. Thank y'all for listening. We'll see you at the Mobile Hunters Expo. And listen, guys, remember, y'all stay Southern. And y'all stay Southern!